Here on Holly&Nira, we have taken an oath for a few years now where we want to use our platform to really make positive change in the community. And one of the things we want to bring to light today is about concussions. Concussions are the leading cause of brain injury in Canada.
Wowzy.
We've heard about concussions, especially when it comes to sports. But what about when they are sustained by intimate partners? Some staggering numbers have come forth when it comes to women who suffer from concussions in Canada.
Some shocking, staggering numbers, and sort of a shocking person to come in and talk to us about this today. But you know him, you love him. He played for a team called the Vancouver Canucks for, 20 seasons. Our very own Trevor Linden is here. Hi, Trevor. Good morning.
Good morning, guys. Great to be with you.
Yes, thank you so much for coming back in. And you have teamed up with the YWCA to launch a PSA highlighting these shocking numbers and this shocking rate of concussions from domestic violence. Why did you want to get involved, or why were you approached?
For sure. I think, obviously women's equality rights, super important. We've seen what's gone on in Afghanistan or Iran and those, but I think we don't realize this is still happening in our backyard. And obviously intimate partner violence is something that nobody likes to talk about. It's not fun, but it's real and it affects people. And I think if you talk to women, maybe they haven't been part of the actual violence, but many women have been scared from their partners at a certain time. And that in itself is important to acknowledge, recognize, understand, and then the damage it causes, concussion. As a hockey player, you get the best care. You are diagnosed properly at the start. You have the proper care to understand the symptoms. Women that have these issues first, they don't want to talk about it because they don't want that secret being out. Mm-hmm. So they're not properly diagnosed. They're suffering and they can't get any help. And so it's really, really tragic. And so, I just wanted to be supportive of the YWCA. They do such amazing work for women and their families throughout our country. And when you think about, for every one concussion sustained in the NHL, 7,000 concussions happen with women in this country.
That
when I heard that stat, I was like, oh,
yeah,
wow.
I'm on board.
Yeah.
So can you you should repeat that.
Yes, every one concussion in the NHL, which we hear all about.
All the time.
7,000 concussions through intimate partner violence with women in our country.
In Canada. We feel that we do hear a lot about domestic violence around the world, like you mentioned, in a lot of developing countries. Yeah. And it is really surprising, but I don't want to, it's naive to think that the numbers should be lower in Canada, but no, domestic violence is stronger than ever, especially since the pandemic. Mm-hmm. And now with all the financial troubles that people are going through, that's when domestic violence increases. And as you mentioned, Trevor, you have a history with the NHL. You would get the best care. What is the YWCA hoping from this public service announcement?
Well, I think it's a number of things. Number one, it's about us talking about it right now, and I think that so it's about the acknowledgement that it's happening, that we have to understand, and then how do we help? How do we make a difference? And obviously, you can go to myconcussionstory.com to get more information to help out. The YWCA does amazing work for women and their families. I think also too, it's the opportunity for parents out there. It's the thought starter with your teenage kids. Yes. Mm-hmm. I had the most amazing reach out from after this PSA went out. It's super impactful, and I had parents reach out to me and say, I had the most incredible conversation with my 18-year-old son about domestic violence. Yes. It's the thought starter. 18-year-old kids don't want to talk, but this was like, hey, let's have a conversation about this. And the fact that you watch the PSA, you think, oh, this is Trevor Linden talking about his career, and then it's like, oh no, it's not. No. It's really meaningful, and so if you can have those conversations with your teenage kids, daughters, sons, have them be aware of it, so they're going into their and understanding. Also, it's okay to talk about, and those dirty little secrets that people want to keep, that maybe someone that you suspect, maybe you can have this conversation. And so those types of things I think are super important.
I think like the shame and stigma piece around it, especially for women to come forward and say, that in itself, if you have a partner who's abusive, imagine going to a clinic or a drop-in clinic or your doctor and saying like he threw me around or he hit me, or just even getting to that step for a woman, I can only imagine it's just so difficult.
The stories that you would have to come up with in advance, because you know that when you do go to a medical professional,
they're going to ask.
They have a checklist.
I was watching the Tina Turner documentary last night, and that is remarkable. But, you talk about that dirty little secret that she kept for a long time until she did the People interview in 1981. And so this has gone on for a long time, but, I think that we need to talk about it's not right. It needs to stop. We need to understand that it's happening. And I think just so we can get women the help they need, the diagnosis, the proper care, that sort of thing.
Well, that's amazing. And Trevor Linden, you have been a champion now for the community, the Canadians Men's Health Foundation. You're an advocate for better mental health and support for men, and trying to be there. Supporting all different types of initiatives, and hence you now being with the YWCA to launch this PSA highlighting the shocking rate of concussions for domestic violence. How do you feel about taking this angle and making a positive change for our local community?
It's something that I love being part of the Canadian Men's Health Foundation. I mean, June is move for your mental health. And I just think that, especially men are like, hey, they hook up with their buddies. They talk about golf. They talk about the basketball game, the hockey game. What are they doing this weekend? Fishing. But they don't talk about them. They don't talk about what's happening for them. Women do. Women will get together, have coffee. Like, what's going on for you? Like, what are you? And they talk about that. And men just don't do that. So whether it be their physical well-being, their health, taking care of themselves, just the Canadian Men's Health Foundation about don't change much, just change a little. Start to take care of yourself.
Love that.
And then now with mental health through the pandemic, I mean, it seems like everything's just ramped up. So I can tell my story, I can talk about it, but mental health is real, and when you've experienced it and you've dealt with it and you've managed it, it's good to have those conversations with your friends as opposed to just the surface type thing that men like to talk about. So, it all kind of when you talk about Canadian Men's Health, you talk about the YWCA. It's about wellness. It's about helping people, and so it's a passion of mine, and I quite enjoy being part of it.
And it's a cycle, actually, if you think about it. Your involvement with the Canadian Men's Health Foundation, if men are in a better place, that actually would reduce domestic violence.
For sure. And I'm a perfect example, like men, and that's one thing I'm doing with my son, because I don't want to repeat the same things that happened to me. I want Roman to understand what he's feeling. I don't want those feelings just to be put in the basement, and just because then what happens, they blow up, and that's how these things happen. And so being able to talk about how you're feeling, why you're feeling that way, having those conversations is so good for the mind. And even, the old exercise component of getting out and giving yourself that mental break. I mean, because there's so much pressure. I mean, financial pressure, family pressure, all sorts of things on people, and they need to be aware of what's going on, in their head, and just to be able to be open about it and talk about it. And if they're feeling a certain way, that they can get help somewhere.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much for using your voice for so many great causes. Like, we loved you when you just played for the Vancouver Canucks. Just. Now, I think we love you even more, Trevor Linden.
Was it possible? The crush has grown.
No, but Nira and I talk about this all the time. Like, people need to use their platform. That's our goal. We only have a tiny platform, but you have a huge platform, and you actually use it for good and use your voice. And so just thank you on behalf of the community.
Well, thank you for the chatting. It's always great to see you guys. And
Trevor, you can move here.
Yeah.
You can be on the show anytime you want.
I can get into the building with
True side story.
Frightening.
Our building is very secure. Trevor got in
somehow
on his own.
I don't know how
it may be his face that got him in, but I don't know.
Wandering the halls,
yes.
looking for Holly&Nira. I mean, if you're ever going to have a stalker, this is the one you want.
Right.
We always joke, like, if someone could come in and kill us, you could kill us. That's okay, Trevor. It's fine. It's totally fine.
Okay, well, thank you so much for doing this, and we are always an ally to your amazing causes for the community. Welcome back anytime, Trevor Linden.
Yeah, and the website one more time is myconcussionstory.com.
Yeah, lots of information there, and for
amazing.
sure. myconcussionstory.com.
Thanks, Trev.